Mousasi MacDonald. That's a banger. Probably the best fight in the past 10 years that is going to occur outside of the UFC. And when I say best fight, I don't mean it will be the greatest performance, because this does have the potential to be a stinker. But as far as the quality of fighter, I don't think there's been a more quality fight put on in the past 10 years than Gegard Mousasi against Rory MacDonald. If you're wondering why is this guy talking about Mousasi, MacDonald, you missed the news. It was announced today that Gegard Mousasi would be defending his Bellator middleweight title against Rory MacDonald in September. And this is a fantastic fight. The reason I laugh is because there are extremes in MMA. There is extreme quality and there is just extreme crap. So example, CM Punk against Mike Jackson. That is on the really crap side of the spectrum. Is it a freak show? Will it get views? Yes. Quality-wise, no. It's like calling Cheese Whiz a quality cheese. No, nobody thinks Cheese Whiz is a quality cheese, but a lot of people like it, and a lot of people eat it. Meanwhile, you get a very high-quality cheese that not a lot of people like. If you give it to them, they may say like, oh no, this sucks. But to the cheese expert, this is a quality cheese, and that is what Mousasi versus MacDonald is. It's a quality cheese. Especially for a Bellator card. You don't get many matchups in Bellator that place two people pretty much at the peak of their fighting careers. Mousasi, a champion, a dominant champion in Bellator, who had been climbing the rankings in the UFC, against Rory MacDonald, who could be UFC champion right now. He holds a win over Tyron Woodley. I would bet that he would be the favorite in a rematch. And you get these two fighters meeting in a Bellator event. That is quality. No, it will not sell out an arena, and no, it will probably not do amazing numbers for Bellator, but you need a good mix in MMA. For every Rampage Jackson against Vanderlei Silva at 50 years old when both should be retired, that was an exaggeration, but still, for every Rampage Silva 5, 6, 7, keep just beating that horse until it's dead, you get this type of thing. And that's why I always keep Bellator in my mind when it comes to quality promotions, because yes, they do have main events that are very questionable, but they do put on quality fights. They won't put it as the headliner because they know that it won't draw, but their fighters are some of the best in the world. And when they acquired Gegard Mousasi and Rory MacDonald, everybody knew, whoa, these are big acquisitions. Rory MacDonald was the 4th ranked welterweight when Bellator picked him up. That is fairly unheard of for Bellator to get a guy who was only 27, 28 years old, still going to enter the prime of his career. The 4th ranked welterweight is a pretty big name in the MMA world. And to grab him, Bellator, you did a good job. And then only a bit later, Gegard Mousasi, number 4th ranked middleweight in the UFC, moving upwards, just beating Chris Weidman, and Bellator snags him. Both Gegard Mousasi and Rory MacDonald could be UFC champions. Am I saying that they would have been if they were still in the UFC? No. But I don't think I am over-exaggerating when I'm saying that this will be, quality-wise, the greatest fight that Bellator MMA has ever held. Now, when I go into the problems of this fight, you are dealing with two very technical fighters, which isn't a bad thing, but like I said before, this could be a stinker. We've seen Rory MacDonald in his fair share of, oh, well, that was, case in point, Stephen Thompson fight, Jake Ellenberger fight, kind of the Tyron Woodley fight. I mean, like, he did a great job at neutralizing Woodley, but still wasn't the most entertaining fight. He also recently had a very tough fight against Douglas Lima, which he didn't look dominant in, but did win. And I see Mousasi as a huge threat for MacDonald, and I can see MacDonald employing a very safe game plan, because Rory MacDonald has taken an absolute ton of damage over his career. He started extremely young, fought Carlos Condit on a Vancouver card, super young in his career, 19, 20 years old. He was damaged in that fight. He was damaged in the Robbie Lawler fight, the Stephen Thompson fight, the Lima fight. Rory MacDonald, for a younger fighter, has taken a lot of damage. And Mousasi can deal damage. He can take Rory MacDonald down and punish him. He can punish him on the feet too. He can just crack MacDonald in the nose within the first round, and you will see the crimson mask of Rory MacDonald, which has kind of been his big handicap in the past couple of fights. He's taken so much damage that it doesn't take much now for him to look like a wrecked fighter. But I'm also not going to say that it's going to be boring, because both fighters have displayed incredible performances before, are able to knock people out. It could be an incredible fight as well. And that would be great for Bellator, to have two champions in the promotion fighting each other who could both arguably be UFC champions, and to have just this super fight, this honest super fight. Because that term gets thrown around, but in Bellator, this is a super fight. And in an alternate timeline, this could be a super fight in the UFC. Mousasi over Whitaker, not the craziest thing. MacDonald over Woodley, definitely not the craziest thing. So no, this will not attract tons of fans to Bellator. This won't get Bellator mainstream appeal. Neither Mousasi or MacDonald will turn into legends after this fight. But it is a huge step forward for Bellator in putting on the fights that not only do hardcore fans want to see, but are just overall great fights for the MMA community. But am I taking that too far? Am I over-exaggerating this? Is this the amazing fight that I see it as? Or is it, well, Bellator only has a few options, and is Bellator doing this too early? Should they really grow the title reigns of Rory MacDonald and Gegard Mousasi? Or are the divisions too shallow in Bellator, where this is pretty much their only option? I'm excited for it, especially as a Canadian, getting to see Rory MacDonald get a chance to win 2 titles. And I think that this is just overall fantastic for Bellator. And it's great for the MMA community, because it shows us that even though the UFC is by far and away #1, that it isn't a monopoly, that there is still competitive fight leagues below it, and that Bellator can definitely compete on an event-to-event basis with the UFC. Definitely nowhere near the UFC stature, but this event that they put on could be one of the top 5 events of the year. If the UFC put on a title fight with Woodley or Robert Whitaker and it matched up against this card, I would watch this card. But what do you think? Make sure to comment down below and subscribe to MMA Nation to get updated on our latest videos. As well, check out some of my rankings videos. I did the lightweight and welterweight divisions, just looking at the history of how those divisions have changed. And to end things off, good job, Bellator. Hope the fight happens.